Do you believe in reincarnation? Most of the people in India firmly believe that reincarnation is real. There are many Indian films and books based on reincarnation. This story is neither from a book nor a film. This is a real story. This is the story of Dorothy Louise Ede, a woman who was born in England in 1904. How was she related to a pharaoh, king of Egypt, who lived thousands of years ago? Dorothy was born on January 16th in 1904 in London to Irish parents. At the age of 3, while she was playing on the stairwell, she fell from a height and stuck so hard she lost consciousness. She was rescued after taking her to the hospital, but this terrible accident has changed her destiny. After the incident, she started remembering her past life and that she was born in a different life across the sea in the land of Pharaoh's Egypt. She was a woman called Bentheshit. She lived and served as a priestess to the Omm Seti in the temple of Seti in Abydos, which was started building by Pharaoh Seti himself. In ancient Egypt, pharaohs were treated as living gods. If you are familiar with Prophet Moses from the Holy Bible, Pharaoh Seti was the one who ordered his men to kill every male child born in Egypt. After listening to the prophecy, someone would grow up to take over this throne. Bendrashit was raised at the temple from the age of 3, where she became a priestess and consecrated virgin. Eventually, she met Pharaoh Seti and the two eventually fell in love. As the pharaoh's lover, young Bentheshet ended up pregnant, but unfortunately, the fate of such a relationship did not have a happy ending. Soon after she found out she was pregnant, a high priest of the temple told Bentheshet that the child she was expecting would represent a great offense against the goddess Isis and could cause many problems to the pharaoh. So she decided or was instigated to commit suicide. Since childhood, Dorothy wanted to move to her home to Egypt. Also, in numerous occasions, she demanded her parents to take her to Egypt. Her fascinating interest towards Egypt has made her to study the history of Egypt from the age of 15. Finally, in 1932, she has fulfilled her dream by marrying an Egyptian student, whom she had met in England and moved to Egypt. People began to call Dorothy as Omm Seti after giving birth to a boy, which she named as Seti. Omm Seti means Mother of Seti in Aramaic. In 1956, Dorothy moved to Abydos, and it was there where she faced numerous challenges that would test her stories and knowledge. Over the year, Dorothy helped archaeologists with the research, proving that somehow her fascinating story was real. As if Dorothy did, in fact, live in Egypt thousands of years ago, then she surely must have remembered and known important details. Since childhood, Dorothy has never ceased to amaze people. On one occasion, her parents took young Dorothy to the British Museum in London. Upon entering the museum, she ran towards the mummies of ancient Egypt with statues of all ancient Egyptian gods and goddesses, which she began kissing uncontrollably. Looking at old images of the temple of Seti, she stated that it was there where her home was. She could not understand why there were no trees and gardens around the temple. Soon after, the child began screaming in a voice that sounded unfamiliar and extremely ancient, leaving her parents shocked. Later, Dorothy has begun learning Egyptian hieroglyphs at the British Museum, and she astounded her teachers with her ability, as she wasn't learning a new language but was only remembering a language she had forgotten. One day, when Dorothy visited to the temple of Seti, the chief inspector from the antiquities department, who knew her story, decided to test her ability and knowledge in order to find out whether or not her story was true. The chief of the antiquities department was eager to see whether or not she was lying. She was asked to stand near a particular wall painting in nearly complete darkness. There, he asked her to identify them according to the memories of her past life. The answers was fascinating. Interestingly, the paintings and markings Dorothy identified had never been seen by anyone in the world. They have not published anywhere in Egypt, so no one could have seen them. But not only did she know all of the answers, she told him the things that they have not even discovered yet. This made her story more famous, and she helped with excavations and researches in ancient Egypt. She translated extremely difficult pieces of art that even the greatest archaeologists couldn't. Her knowledge of the ancient Egyptian language helped archaeologists who were excavating at Abydos. Many researchers carefully listened to what Omm Seti had to say when it came down to ancient Egyptian history. Every morning, Dorothy would go to the temple to pray during the birthdays of Isis and Osiris. She observed food ceremonies, bringing beer, wine, and bread, just as it was done thousands of years ago. During one occasion, Dorothy said that in her past life, when she was Banthajit, the temple of Seti was surrounded by trees and had a beautiful garden. At the time, gardens were nowhere to be seen, but then one day archaeologists excavated something unprecedented, a garden. But this wasn't an ordinary garden somewhere in Abydos. The garden was placed in the same location right there where Dorothy said that the garden would be. This incredible knowledge and her fascinating abilities are enough proof for many people that reincarnation is real. Skeptics will always remain cautious when it comes to things like this. However, many people in Egypt firmly believe that Omm Seti, Dorothy, or Benthrasis did reincarnate and lived during the reign of Pharaoh Seti thousands of years ago. Dorothy died on the 21st of April 1981, but she made sure that before her death, locals would remember her, and they did, as a passionate lady with a never before seen knowledge of Abydos, ancient Egypt, and the ancient Egyptian language. Whether skeptics believed in her or not is another story the locals sure let it. What do you say? Do you believe in reincarnation? Do you think that the story of Dorothy Louise is true? Let us know your opinions in the comments below. Like always, we wish you to shine in your life. See you in our next video. Bye bye. Take care.